Hey everybody, what's up? My name is Nick, and I'm going to just kind of walk you guys through the recording and the mix of Lonesome Tune, track that I did with Sophia from For Layla. And yeah, we're going to look into the recording, the different instruments, how I mixed them. I don't claim any of this to be the correct way to do things, but just kind of how I do things. Yeah, so let's just get right into it. So this track first started with a 2023 demo that I did in my iPhone's voice memo app that sounded like this. When I grow up, I want to be the cowboy out on the range, forgetting my pain. So very simple. I think the first verse that I did lyrically has remained the same. I also believe that we recorded this track in a lower key, so the track sounds like that. Versus I want to be. Yeah. So it just started as a voice memo, and Sophia and I wanted to work on a song together, and yeah, this is just a track that I've been wanting to work on. Cool, so I'm going to show the general structure of the instruments. So basically what all is going on here. So kind of how I organize everything is into these folders. So you can see here I've got these kind of like extra vocal folders, the demo, and then I've got all of my vocals in one folder. These are all the individual vocal tracks for myself. I've also done the same thing with oohs and ahs. Those are all kind of in their own folder. I've got Sophia's vocals in their own folder as well. We have the acoustic guitars. So in this track it looks like just one, a double track take of acoustic guitars, or actually I think it's a single track recorded with two microphones. And then we have the percussion folder that's got the drums. It's got some reverse cymbals, some chimes. Should probably also contain the tambourine in there. We've got bass guitar. We have pedal steel. Pedal steel was done by Dakota Holden. He also did pedal steel for some of my other tracks. And then I've got the electric guitar folder. So we've got electric guitars, tambourine, harmonica, and stereo out. So that's about it. That's the general structure. I try to color code everything as much as I can. Yeah, so let's just dive right into it. So I first started this song by just recording acoustic guitars. So what that looked like is one take of acoustic guitars for the entire song for this click track, and then I added some accessory guitars over top. So we can take a listen to the acoustic guitar. So I'm not doing a whole lot with the acoustic guitars. I've got first some basic EQ to take out some of the low end. I then have some compression going on. Well, doesn't seem like a lot actually. Yeah, some compression, some EQ. So keeping it pretty simple on that main acoustic guitar there. And then I also think I double track the acoustic guitar over top. So this one sounds like. So this guitar is coming out of the left ear, as you can hear. And what I also did is pitch shifted it up to sound more like a 12-string guitar. So it sounds a little bit different. But together, and then farther down into the song, kind of towards the chorus, I think I do this again. Yeah, so you can kind of hear how the acoustic guitars sit in the mix. It's a very simple arrangement on the acoustic guitar side of things. So once I had the acoustic guitars recorded for the entire track kind of laid out in my head, Sophia came over and we kind of worked a little bit on the structure of the song, and we decided to extend some parts, such as the bridge section. And once we had the final draft of this layout for the acoustic guitars, I sent that over to her, and she sent me back her vocals, her vocal takes. So yeah, we can actually just dive right into Sophia's vocals. So she starts technically at the end of the first chorus, so coming in right here.
One more day through. One more lonesome tune.
So keeping it pretty light on her vocals at this part. I think if we look at the automation here, I actually turned down her vocals for that harmony on the end, and then obviously made her vocals stand out a little bit more in the actual verse. So we can go to the verse here.
When I grow up, I want to be a lover out on the farm in the arms of someone that I'll call forever.
Cool. So we can take a look at her track. So first thing I've got going on is just an EQ to cut out some of the low ends, the low frequencies. I then have a limiter on her vocals to kind of boost the volume of them and get them where I like them to be. I'm then running her vocals through this Sketch cassette tape plugin. This adds some saturation to her vocals and kind of acts as a compressor as well, but just kind of gives it more of a warm vintage kind of tone to the vocals. I'm then running her vocals after that through another compressor to even further compress the saturated cassette tape vocals going on. And then what else? Another compressor. I think we're at 3 compressors now. I then am putting her vocals through a vocal rider. So this automates the volumes of her vocal takes, kind of like a compressor, but acts a little bit differently, and you can kind of see it working here.
A lover out on the farm in the arms of someone.
Pretty cool. I've then got some EQ going on with her vocals, so
Out on the farm in the arms of someone that I'll
there's a lot going on here. There's some dynamic EQ going on just to kind of take down some of the more aggressive frequency spikes in the take.
call forever.
Her vocals came in pretty light already and pretty airy, so I didn't really have to pull up too much from the high end. And then I've also got a de-esser on her vocals to get rid of some of the sibilants, some of the S sounds and P sounds. So you can see that working here.
Out on the farm in the arms of someone that I'll call.
Pretty cool stuff. Next, I have even more EQ. I actually chopped off the high end for her vocal EQ there and took a little bit of the nasally sounds out of her vocals around the 400 mark. And then finally, a loudness meter to just make sure that I'm not going crazy with the volume.
Out on the farm in the arms of someone that I'll.
So that's pretty much it as far as her main vocal track goes. I am doing some automation with the vocals, making some stuff quieter and louder, as you can see here. So for example, we get quieter at this part.
Oh, there's one more day through. One more lonesome tune.
That's just to kind of work with my vocals a little bit better, so the volume is kind of equal for both in that part. We've also got this section in one of her lines where she says forever, and I thought it would be fun to throw a long delay on it. I couldn't figure out how to automate the delay in a way I wanted to, so I just threw it on a new vocal track and then put the delay on the track directly. But that sounds like this.
Forever.
And it goes on forever. That forever delay section is running through a bus. This is bus 13, and I've got some of the instruments running through this delay bus, but not a whole lot. I think the electric guitars and that one line from. But you can hear this bus here. So some of the pedal steel is also going through that delay bus. it looks like I've got one of her other lines running through this. Oh, I've got her hum right here. That's the main part. That's the main takes of her vocal track. There's also the whole bridge section. So for both of our vocals during the bridge section, which sounds like this. So for both of our vocals for this section, I actually made them a little bit more compressed. I took out more high end and I took out more low end to make it almost sound a little bit like a radio kind of effect. It's a little bit difficult to kind of get that from the track itself, but if we solo it out, you can kind of tell the difference.
It's so criminal how miserable we've been since he left me behind.
So you can tell it's a little bit more megaphony. You can actually hear that in my vocals here as well. Criminal, miserable, been since you left me behind. So altogether, it sounds a little bit more like a radio.
It's so criminal how miserable we've been since you left me behind.
Yeah, I think that's it with her vocals. It was pretty simple to throw in and mix up. Next, we can go into my vocals. So let's see here. I really laid out my vocals in a similar way to Sophia's. So I've got my main vocal track, and then I've got the telephone bridge version of that vocal track. And that sounds like this soloed out. One more day through. One more lonesome tune. I also did one thing. I pitch corrected one of my lines and I threw it on its own vocal, on its own track. So I bounced it, put it on its own track, and then applied flex pitch correction just to kind of decouple that auto-tune take away from the full track, just because I like doing it that way, and that sounds like this. Out. So, literally one word. Cowboy. Out on the range, forgetting my pain. Pretty simple with the vocals. Let's take a look at the chain. I'm doing a little bit less processing on my vocals just because I'm familiar with my microphone and I know how to get it to sound super clear without kind of doing too much to it. So I've got channel EQ taking out the low end all the way around 149, and I'm doing a boost towards the higher end of the frequency range for my vocals just to get them a little bit more enunciated, airy sounding. I'm then running my vocals through a compressor, the LA2A compressor, and then I'm also running my vocals through Sketch Cassette, so getting it that saturated, warm, vintagey kind of sound to the vocals. Finally, running my vocals through another EQ plugin, which is FabFilter Pro Q3. Taking out some around the 400, 300 range here, kind of the nasally stuff. And finally, a vocal writer as well. With bullets and such, if they take you away. So really just trying to make sure the vocals are leveled properly, making sure there's not too much low end on the vocals, compressing them, and that's about it. Let's go into harmonies next. So I have my own set of harmonies here, and these come in the first verse, so right here. I'd stuff them all up with bullets and such if they take you away. And soloed the sound like. I'd stuff them all up with bullets and such if they take you away. So, not the best with their harmonies, so it doesn't really matter. Together, it sounds like this. I'd stuff them all up with bullets and such if they take you away. And then I've also got harmonies in the chorus. I'm no Billy from the bar, or Jackson or Clark, oh no. Without the main vocals. Pretty Miss Mary Lou, it's me who's been searching for you. Yeah, those are the harmonies. Looking at the track stack for those harmonies, keeping it pretty simple. EQ, taking out the low end. And then we've got compressor, just kind of compressing everything together. I'd stuff them all up with bullets inside. Compressing the harmonies pretty hard. I'm also sending these harmonies out to bus 11. So all of my harmony takes I'm sending to the same bus, and those together are being compressed. If they take you away. And then they're also being EQ'd. So I'm taking off some of the high end of those harmonies so they're not as prevalent in the mix. We can also see what harmonies are going on for Sophia's vocals. We've got one set of harmonies here in the track. Soloed, that sounds like. Again, just normal harmonies. Together, sounds pretty good. As I hum along to your songs. Yeah, sounds really good. And then she also has this part here for Your Lover, which together sounds like this. Which sounds like this together here. With the main vocals. Your lover. That might be it for her harmonies. There's also these. One thing I actually just remembered is there's some oohs and ahs towards the bridge section of the song, and I'm doing those with my vocals. That's happening here. It's so criminal, how miserable. You're my. And I think that covers all vocals in the song. Next, I want to go through, we can go through drums and percussion. So I do all of my drumming with my keyboard behind me. I play it with my hand. And I try to do as the least amount of manual intervention with drums as possible. I would ideally like to record real drums, but yeah, keyboard sounds good. And those drums sound like this. So I'm using Addictive Drums for the drum program. This allows me to select different types of kicks that I want, different EQs, different types of compression and distortion to the kick, where I want the beater to sit, what the volume envelope looks like, stuff like that. My goal with the drums was to keep them as dry and punchy as possible, sounding like a very natural dry kit, not too much reverb or anything. I'm running the entire kit through an SSL comp, which I don't know if this is correct or not, but you can see it moving here. Mainly with the kick. I'm then also running the drums through Sketch Cassette again to give it a more saturated sound, more glued together sound. I've got some basic EQ going on here, so a rise in the 4K to 1K range, specifically with the cymbals and hi-hats and making them sound a little bit more airy. More compression going on, just a minimal amount. And then finally more EQ. This is mainly for the kick and the low end. So the drums are pretty simple. I'm running all of my drums out from bus 10 right here. So bus 10 is just a basic reverb. We can listen just to bus 10. So just sounds like the drum room, basically. Pretty neat. We also have a reverse cymbal in the build-up in the beginning. It's a fun thing I like to do, a little trick. And then we also have some chimes that come in the beginning as well. So. As far as other percussion, we also have tambourines. I recorded these, did double takes, and I believe I panned one left and one right. Just basic tambourine. I think that covers all of the percussion. Next, let's look into some of the electric guitars. So I definitely struggled with the electric guitars the most on this track. You can see I've got a ton of different takes. I've got takes that are muted out that I never used. The main take for this song is just a DI straight into Logic and using the stock Logic guitar amp, and that tone sounds like this. Pretty simple. I think in the verse I start to kind of pluck around a little bit. And then towards the choruses I start to play louder. I've actually got automation going on here. So I pull out the electric guitar, the main electric guitar for Sophia's vocals. For her verse I pull out the main electric guitar here. And then I bring it back in the bridge. The characteristics of this guitar, so I've got a noise gate on it, I've got a compressor, I've got the amp, obviously. I also have sketch cassette that I pretty much put on everything to make it sound more saturated. This is actually what is controlling the kind of like waviness of the sound. So without it, it sounds like a normal electric, but with it, yeah, kind of gives it like a fluttery kind of vibrato effect to the guitar. We also have this guitar take right here, a little bit more distorted and in the right headphone. And then right here I do some panning with this guitar. In the track that sounds like this. So just doing some basic automation there with panning it through the headphones, and then also increasing that forever delay right here. So the guitars and the vocals kind of delay into the distance. We've also got this guitar at the very end. And the purpose of this guitar is to just bring back some of the low end from the electric guitar that I was missing in the first half and middle of the song. So you'll notice here in this electric guitar, there's not a lot of low end. It's very thin and kind of tinny. And then when it comes to the end guitar, you can really hear the really comes in full there. And then we also have, I actually recorded out of my amp behind me for one of the other electric guitars, and that sounds like this. Coming out of the left headphone. So this is for Sophia's chorus, I believe. And that's just to kind of give the track some more instruments. Keeping it pretty simple with the effects chain on the live recorded amp, with EQ, compression, more EQ, and a Pultec EQ. So just EQ and compression, really. We also have this thing I'm doing with the Western guitars in the bridge. So the bridge sounds like this. And if we solo out those electric guitars, they sound like this for this part. So yeah, I think these were also recorded out of my amp behind me, and I put a ton of delay on them as well. So really just to kind of make them hit for that initial part of that track right here.
So criminal, how miserable we've been since you left me behind. Oh, I'll pray to God that I found one.
Then I kind of bring them back in here too.
We're sinners in our boots, and those are
And I've got a lot of automation going on with the reverb here, just really cranking the reverb when I initially hit the guitar and then turning down the reverb towards the end of it. And you can see that going on in the background right there. I think that covers all of the electric guitars. Also, something to note about the electric guitars is that I'm setting them all through buses to reverbs. So for example, we've got my long reverb for all of the tracks, and that sounds like this. So sending a bunch of stuff out through those reverbs. Next, we can look into the bass guitar. Bass guitar is pretty simple, just one take, one track, and then I did some volume automation. So that sounds like this. And my effects chain is a noise gate. I'm using a Logic amp, some EQ, some compression, ton of more EQ, just to kind of try to dial in this low end a little bit better. I know I didn't need 3 of these, but I got lazy. And then a loudness meter just to measure volume. And that's not going through any buses or anything, so it's a pretty simple bass. I do increase the volume of the bass in the beginning, I lower it for the verses, and then I increase the bass for like this part right here. So that's the bass guitar. Pretty easy. Next, we have the pedal steel. So Dakota Holden sent me the tracks, or the track for the pedal steel for the song, and it sounds amazing. It's always a pleasure working with him, and the pedal steel sounds beautiful. I've got some automation going on with the pedal steel, so really just lowering the volume of some of the sections of it and then raising the volume for some other parts. So during the verses, the volume is pretty low. And such if they take. And then for some of the other parts, I turn the volume up. So this section. And yeah, that's the automation, that's the pedal steel. The effects chain for the pedal steel looks a lot like my other tracks, which is EQ. Taking out a lot of that low end. I've got the Sketch cassette plugin, believe it or not. I've also got a compressor on it, the LA2A. I've got some EQ going on right here, some dynamic EQ. Really just to tame some of those sharper high ends down. I've also got this running through a chorus effect. It's not too noticeable, but this is without it. This is with it. And then I've also got some vocal rider going on with it, but not a crazy amount. Or I guess there is a crazy amount, but... And then more EQ, believe it or not. that's it for the pedal steel. Oh, we've also got harmonica we can look at. So there's some harmonica in this track. Here it comes in. So I actually don't have a harmonica in this key. So what I had to do is pitch shift the entire song up to, or one step, so I could get the key that I have in my harmonica. I recorded my harmonica at the incorrect pitched up step, and then I pitch shifted the harmonica down in the track. So if we solo the harmonica and we look at the effects chain, I'm pitch shifting it up a full semitone. So when I recorded it, it actually sounded like this. But when it's played back and pitch shifted, it sounds like this. So, fun fact, you don't have to buy every harmonica for every key. Just buy half of them and then you can pitch shift it up in the recording. I've got sketch cassette on the harmonica. I've got EQ on the harmonica. And reverb. I think maybe I've gone through most of this stuff. Again, there's a lot of automation and volume going on, a lot of manual automation, a lot of automation with how much reverb I'm pumping through certain tracks, automation with how much delay I'm giving some certain tracks at certain points in time. And I think that's basically it. Finally, what we can look at is just the master track itself. So I'm running everything through stereo out, obviously. And my master chain has an SSL compressor on it, and you can see it working here.
Today, I'm no Billy from the bar or Jackson or Clark.
And then I also have EQ for the entire track. I've got a limiter.
Pretty Miss Mary,
more compression.
it's me who's been searching for
more EQ, loudness meter to see how loud it is. And yeah, that's basically it. So thanks for watching the video, and let's listen to the track.
stuff them all up with bullets and such if they take you away. 'Cause I want to be your cowboy today. I'm no Billy from the bar or Jackson or Clark. Oh, Miss Mary Lou, it's me who's been searching